Hello and welcome to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub. Ahead of this game, Leicester City against Crystal Palace, of course, here at King Power Stadium. I'm Dan Bates, Ewan Roberts and Matt Elliott join me here in the studio as we build up to kick-off ahead of this huge Premier League game here at home. Ewan, good evening to you.
How are you, Dan?
I feel like it's been a while since we've had you on, is that right?
29th.
Not long enough.
29th of December.
Big game though tonight.
Oh, this is a massive game. Speaking about it before we went on here, you get into the stage now, Dan. 20 games gone, 18 to go in the Premier League. The position that the club is in the top flight, second from bottom, 14 points against the Palace side, who are in 15, 7 points in front of Leicester. You would say that even at this early stage now, it is probably a must-win game for Leicester in the situation that they're in.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's for sure. You don't want considered opposition or rival, shall we say, for that. I don't know if that's the right term for the relegation slots. You don't want to be winning those slots there, but you get my gist. 10-point advantage. That's the super negative outcome of tonight's fixture. So don't really want to consider that. You got to start looking at it and be positive. And on the back of, Ruud van Nistelrooy tends to, and obviously a lot of supporters do, and it's the only way forward really is to look for the positivity. And looking at Leicester's performances of late, backed up by that great win in the FA Cup, a few goals in the bag as well, boost the confidence. Hopefully they can take that through to the performance tonight and come out with the result. But it's not going to be straightforward. Palace have got an exceptional record of late.
Yeah, they have got a really good record, Matt, and that, particularly their away record, they're unbeaten now in the last 5 away games in the Premier League, which is some going, really.
Yeah, they grind results out, don't they? Regardless of who the manager is over recent seasons, they've always been a tough proposition, haven't they? No one, very rarely anyway, cruises past Crystal Palace. It's always a bit of a dogfight, a bit of a scrap, isn't it? It's not always too pretty on the eye.
Especially down there.
Down there as well, yeah. They just hang in there, don't they? They niggle away at you. Like I say, regardless of who the coach or manager is, it's just a trait that they've sort of developed really to their benefit, and not always spectacular, like I say, but they do have quality within the squad as well, and it comes to the fore every now and then when needed. And it's for them to be as sort of equally efficient away from home, it's a bit of a rarity, I think. Looking over their past records, at Selhurst Park, everyone knows about the challenges that brings, but away from home, they're grinding out results again, and I'm mildly surprised they're not further ahead from that relegation zone with the record they've got. Was it one defeat in 9? Was it? I said I worked it out. I don't know whether my eyes were deceiving me.
That'd be 1 in 12 then.
Yeah, well, 2 defeats in 12. It's not bad going, is it, for a team in the bottom third?
Good try.
I mean, this is a side with an absolute disastrous start to the season. They're 3 points after 8 games, and there was talks about the manager who'd done ever so well when he took the job over last season, especially the way they finished last season. But as I say, they lost 1 or 2 players. The young lad who went to Bayern Munich, whose name sort of eludes me. Elise, what a good player he is. Anderson went back to Fulham, maybe disrupted things at Selhurst Park, but all of a sudden,
players as well.
Very top players for them, to be fair. But all of a sudden they've clicked, and as you said, I think they've been to Fulham and won 3-1. They've been to Bournemouth and won. So on the road they're performing well. But you look at the performance here on Saturday against Queen's Park Rangers, albeit a Championship side, to put an end to 5 consecutive Premier League defeats. I think that was a massive, massive win for the football club.
I'd say we're talking about the opposition's attributes here, really, but it's not necessarily what Leicester City supporters want to hear. But we're just, sort of
painting the picture,
saying it how it is, yeah. But the Leicester players can't be too mindful, fearful of Crystal Palace's qualities. They got to concentrate and focus on their own. Like we said at the back end of the game on Saturday, accentuate the positives there and think, hang on a sec, you know, and I made the point, and I still think it's largely relevant now. Yeah, our Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United, are they beating QPR 6-2 at the moment? Very unlikely, aren't they? Leicester did quite comfortably in the end, and that shows that they have that Premier League quality, and they've got to go and prove it to, not to themselves, but they've got to go and show it week in, week out.
Yes, we will continue to build up to kickoff here, which is just under an hour away, of course. A reminder, it is a 7:30 kickoff, slightly early kickoff time than usual for one of these midweek games. We've got plenty coming up here on Matchday Live, including looking back, as Matt has just been referencing there, to the game with QPR at the weekend. We'll do as much as we can looking back, considering how foggy it was on Saturday there, cleared up by the end to see that wonderful fast strike. We'll hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy as well. He's been previewing this game with Palace, as well as hearing from their manager, Oliver Glasner, as well. Jean-Philippe Mateta, of course, has a great record against Leicester, 2 goals in the reverse fixture of this one earlier in the season at Selhurst Park. That will be a game that Leicester certainly will be kicking themselves that they didn't pick up all 3 points in. Let's, though, go back to Saturday. Let's go back, what was it, 4 days ago here at King Power Stadium. A huge week here, 3 games at home on Filbert Way. 3 wins will be fantastic. It started off with 1, though, at the weekend in the FA Cup against QPR.
Argentine and Bilal El Khanous over this one for Leicester. Lofted in by Buonanotte and tapped in by James Justin on the 6-yard line. Jamie Vardy was lurking, but it just dropped over his head, and James Justin nudges home to give Leicester the early advantage. It's well defended by Winks, but it's given away by Leicester City. And in comes the effort towards Stolarczyk's goal and into the bottom corner. And what a finish it is as well. Pinch back by Mavididi. Here's El Khanous sliding towards Mavididi. 2-1 Leicester. Well, that was simple and effective. And Leicester regain their advantage here in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, and shifts it on to Bilal El Khanous. Perhaps a 3rd for Leicester. It is. And it's Facundo Buonanotte. And once again, a well-constructed City attack results in a goal. Leicester 3, QPR 1. Big goal before half-time.
Yeah, massive. And what a goal this is.
Leicester will need to show intensity and quality and tempo, and that's not on display there as Winks gives it straight to Colley, who pulls one back for QPR. Jamie Vardy from the spot for Leicester, and he scores. 38 years on the planet and doing what he always does, scoring goals for Leicester City. Nice little birthday present forward towards Decker. He's got James Justin on his right-hand side. Justin gets his head down and drills into the bottom corner, and that should seal the deal for City. Leicester 5, QPR 2. Uses his strength well to get in front of him, and Fast steps in. That's an excellent challenge. Fast, who hits it. Oh, that's a beauty. A wonder goal from Wout. Well, I don't think even he can believe it.
There we go. What a win that was on Filbert Way. And you said it yourself. It was very much needed, wasn't it? Just to get a bit of confidence. I think the team news maybe surprised a few people with how strong Ruud van Nistelrooy went for that one. But they got the job done, and they got that confidence booster that they clearly were after.
Dan, all credit to him for going so strong. And it showed his intent on how much he wanted to win the game. Spoke about the 5 consecutive Premier League defeats. Unlucky in some, not so unlucky in others. So you just want to stop the rot. You just want to get that winning feeling back into the place. It doesn't matter what sort of level of opposition you're up against. When you're in as bad a run as Leicester were, you've just got to go out and win the game, and to do it by winning or scoring 6 goals, some quality goals, some quality play in Leicester's play against QPR in that shocking miss that I couldn't believe when I saw the highlights. I thought I was watching a game in a different country. But I mean, 2 sloppy goals conceded. You know, you can't ignore that fact that those sort of slight weaknesses defensively sort of occurred again. But yeah, a really good win into the next round. And we all know what the prize was for beating QPR. It's a trip to Old Trafford.
Again, for the third time this season.
Unbelievable. That's not what the doctor ordered, is it? Which is
Could have been a bit
picking
easier,
up a
could
bit,
it?
but we'll ignore that one for now. But yeah, it was just a tonic that Leicester needed for the reasons you mentioned. Really, there, pretty straightforward. I think manager was quite forthright, quite courageous to go and pick that. And also, I don't know whether I'm over-interpreting things, but to me, it's almost a bit of a statement to the players as well from the manager, as if to say, because it's a very similar team tonight, just the one change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that in just a moment.
Sorry, I'm letting the
okay.
cat out of the bag already. But no, similar. You knew it was going to be a similar team tonight to Saturday, but it was a bit of a statement saying, "Go on, boys, I back you. I trust you. You're my first 11-ish, for now." And go ahead. Here's your chance to go and one, prove him right, but to go and prove yourself as a collective, but also that starting 11. Go out there, because if they back it up tonight with a decent performance, it's going to be similar again on Saturday. And then all of a sudden, there's a bit of a rhythm about Leicester's play, and hopefully some confidence to go with some good results in the next couple of games.
Which is needed, clearly.
And that's what I didn't see the Aston Villa game. It was a close game. If you look at the result, only losing by 2-1. I keep going back. That the Wolves defeat out here just before Christmas wasn't acceptable. On the back of a really good win against West Ham, a really good point against Brighton in the manner that came, 2-0 down, 2 goals in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, changed the whole atmosphere of the King Power. Then to go and perform in that first half like they did against Wolves and concede 3 goals, and it wasn't a good atmosphere here. But to perform against Man City in my last visit to the King Power, that was an absolutely exceptional performance.
Oh, well, the Liverpool game in between as well, which was reasonable.
Yeah, was it 2-1?
Yeah,
took the lead.
A reasonable performance, or no, end up 3-1, whatever, but whichever.
I'm talking about home games.
Yeah. No, exactly. Man City there. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that was a magnificent performance, and that's the level of performance. I think that's the standard that they've set. Yeah, they're not going to reach that week in, week out. There will be a slight dip, but if they can produce that type of performance against Crystal Palace tonight and create the same amount of chances that they did against Man City, and not just the chance, the energy, the intensity that they went out and put Man City under pressure, when the ball back nice and quickly. It was an absolutely tremendous performance and deserves something from the game.
Absolutely. Right. How many changes was it, Matt, from a Leicester point of view, did you say?
One.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, let's get all on.
We're getting all sorts right tonight.
Tonight's team news as we build up to kick-off. Slightly later than we normally would. We've kept you waiting for it. There is indeed one change, though. Yannick Vestergaard comes in. Connor Cody drops to the bench. Stolarczyk in goal. Christensen, Vestergaard, Fass and Justin. With Winks and Samare, the holding 2. Mavididi, El Khanous and Facundo Buonanotte support Jamie Vardy. On the bench, it's Everson, Cody, Chowdhury, Thomas, Skip, Decordova-Reid, Casey McAteer, Jordan Ayew and Patson Daka. From a Crystal Palace point of view, they had a little bit of a blow, in fact, not just this week, but today. Chalobah has been recalled from his loan by Chelsea, so he can't play tonight. He's been one of the rocks in that back 3 for Palace across this season, so he is not involved today, nor will he be for the rest of the season. They've got Henderson in goal, Richards, Guehi and Lacroix across the back 3. Mitchell and Munoz are the 2 wing backs. Lerma and Hughes in midfield, with Eze, Sarr and Jean-Philippe Mateta the forward 3 players. Of course, Mateta, I've said, scored 3 goals against the Foxes during his time with Crystal Palace, including 2 in that game at Selhurst Park earlier in the season. Right, speaking of eagle-eyed against the Eagles tonight, if you can see behind me, there is a picture of Leicester City's brand new signing. We are delighted to confirm that Woyo Koulibaly has joined the club from Italian side Parma. He's a defender, full-back, can play either side. He's very quick. He's made nearly 90 appearances for Parma. They won promotion from Serie B into Serie A last season. So he comes with a hell of a lot of pedigree, and he's been at Seagrave today. Here's a little welcome message that he's given to the Leicester City supporters.
Hi, I'm Moyo Koulibaly. I'm very happy to be here. Let's go Foxes.
Well, nice short and sweet message there. But Moyo Koulibaly, we can break the news in the last 2 or 3 minutes or so, is a Leicester City player. Ewan, what are your thoughts?
Was it £3 million? Great value-ish. We don't quite know.
Ain't seen him yet.
It sounds no, but you don't get a lot for that
exactly,
sort of money. You don't get a League One player for that sort of money these days. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. Good competition for places now. James Justin, it's been nearly never present for Leicester this season. He's struggled at times.
For one reason or another, obviously with Ricardo's injury now.
Exactly, which has been a massive blow for Leicester. I think the 2 goals that James scored on Saturday will do him the world of good, because he has looked a little bit low on confidence. But yeah, he's got that, what's the word I'm looking for, when you can play 2 or 3 positions.
Versatility.
He's got that versatility. He can play. It's a great word, by the way.
Matt's on fire.
He can play on the right. He
I
can
had
play
a sleep
on the left.
on the weekend. That's why.
So it's really good positive signing.
Yeah, 25 years old. He's got a lot of experience.
Good age as well, Dan.
For that age.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of positives just on the face of things without actually seeing him perform. But I'm sure the club have, as all clubs do these days, done their homework, done their groundwork on him. Great opportunity for him, first and foremost, isn't it? I'm assuming, he's not a young kid. I'm assuming he's going to come in and get opportunities to have an impact, really. And any boost is welcome, I think, at the moment, isn't it? In terms of additional numbers, and then if he's got the quality that everyone hopes for, then even better. Provides competition. I wouldn't necessarily assume that he will go straight into the team. Possibly so. We'll see. But certainly, the competition itself is a plus, and the added bonus, as you mentioned, if he's versatile, adaptable, to play in numerous roles, then even better. Because although they're playing quite regularly, Justin and Christensen, I wouldn't say they've nailed down those positions 100% just yet. It's still, Ruud van Nistelrooy's tenure in its infancy still, isn't it? So he's still assessing the situation. But Christensen in particular done a decent job. But something to look out for. Interesting.
I think there's been sort of times this season where I think James Justin, for his own benefit, could have been sort of taken out of the team, giving himself a couple of games rest to bring somebody else in. But obviously there's been a lack of options in that position because of what we've just spoken about with injury to Ricardo. But that's not the case now. So if someone is struggling for a little bit of form, you now have sort of, and there's nothing better, and Mike will tell you, when Leicester are in the position that they're in, but they see new faces coming through the door to help them get out of the position that they are in, and it lifts the whole dressing room.
How big is that?
A new face. I think players are used to players coming and going, really, aren't they? Throughout your career, you do. But certain transfers more than others give you that sort of collective boost, depending on who the individual is. I think the lads, he'll be welcome with open arms, regardless of who he is and how much he costs, etc. You're coming into the Leicester City, the Foxes fold, if you like. That's not a problem, but it's just how big a boost it will be for the squad as a whole is relevant on how he plays. Yeah, exactly, which we don't know how that's going to work yet. But James Justin we're saying James Justin, but it is him mainly. Probably one, it's cover, or it's competition, but it's also a little bit of a test of strength of character for James Justin as well, because at the weekend, that would be a huge confidence boost for him. Just regardless, it's been his defensive issues that have been a concern at times, but to go and get those 2 goals, puffing your chest out, and you go, right, actually, he reminds himself that he's a good player.
That he's an England international.
Yeah, exactly. Remind himself of that.
we forget he's had 2 really bad injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of factors come into it.
Yeah.
Ricardo wasn't the player that he'd been before when he came back from injury initially. And then he has good periods, but he's stop-start as well. It's difficult. It's difficult for players, but you've got to have that self-belief yourself, really. But can't be others telling you, etc. But now he's had a boost at the weekend. There's a little bit of
another boost.
Well, no, it's a personal. It's a bit of a knockback, really, isn't it? Because you've got someone directly challenging you now, so you're thinking.
No, but doesn't that then give
exactly?
him
That's what I'm saying. Test of character. Yeah. If he's made of what we think he's made of, because he's got this far in his career, he's got to react to that again. Yeah. And so it's a little bit of a test for him, but I'm sure he'll react well. Yes,
it wasn't just that one selfie message that Woyo Koulibaly did at Seagrave. There is a full interview that will be available for you, so keep an eye out on the LCFC app, on the LCFC website as well, over the coming days as well. I can read you a few sentences, though, from what he said during his interview. He said, "It's an honour to be here. I feel very good. I feel very welcomed. The training ground is very impressive. There's been a lot of impressive players at the club. It's going to be a challenge in the Premier League, but it's one that I'm very much looking forward to." They're the right sort of things you want to hear, aren't they?
You wouldn't expect him to come in and say anything else. I mean, I've been lucky enough to go to Seagrave on more than one occasion. It's an unbelievable training facility. And if the lads that are here now were anything like when I signed for the football club back in 94, I think it was, welcomed me with open arms, made me feel so welcome. I settled in.
Well, Matt can't have been
so
here,
no, he wasn't here. Was a few years
I'd have caned you from the word go, mate, if I knew.
And I tell you what, it makes it so much easier, Dan, for a player when you've got a good, close, tight, together dressing room, as I'm sure Leicester have.
Well, by all accounts, I mean, you more than me, Dan, but we get the privilege or whatever, the opportunity to speak to some of the lads at times on a non-formal level, and they all say genuinely that the spirit of the club is bang on. I know every club say it. No one's going to say we've got bad team spirit, but it's genuinely the atmosphere and the welcoming that they get, the integration is like spot on.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're hearing the words of Conor Cody there. You're repeating the words of Conor Cody.
And other players, you spoke Conor particularly.
Him. There'll be a podcast for that coming up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. You in conversation with Conor Cody, but you hear that, and every time you do hear that, it's such a refreshing thing to hear, isn't it? And we do hear from all of the lads, really. They say how tight knit and how close the group is, despite the fact that they are obviously struggling in the league.
I don't think there's something that is necessarily pointed out enough, really, for from a bit of, for the supporters' benefit, really, at times. Players, they know how strong or not their bond is and their spirit, their togetherness. But sometimes there can be, not negativity, but like assumptions from external areas when the results are not going well, and then people are like, oh, well, they're not sure they've got the fighting spirit. But when you actually look at the results, the performances, most of the time, they've been spirited performances, haven't they? They might not have been top quality all the time, but they've battled away, they've hung in there. They've shown character. Conor Cody, you mentioned him, Dan, but we spoke to him, and he was extremely proud, even though he wasn't directly involved, of the way that they managed to see things through the back end of last season. When there was a little bit of a wobble, he said, but we came together, as a group, players, and sorted a few things out. A few things were said, and they finished the season off really strongly and well, didn't they? And he said it's, I don't know, he didn't necessarily say second to none, but he said it's up there with the best spirits, and togetherness that he's come across, which is going to be a big factor and much needed throughout the season, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
But supporters can be aware of that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and it will come across, obviously, when we go with that, but it's something that we also want to emphasise to people, Ewan, that this is a united group, it's a united team, and hopefully we can see, that bear fruit on the pitch. It's a huge week. It started really well on Saturday. If it continues tonight, if it continues this coming Saturday, then Leicester can put themselves in a great position.
And as we've said it for a few weeks now, home form is going to be key. Well, the club has got 3 home games this week. in a space of 7 days. The one in the Cup on Saturday, this massive one against Queen's Park Rangers tonight, and obviously then Fulham on Saturday. I mean, target-wise, I would take 4 points from these next 2 games now, in all honesty, when you look at the form that Palace are in, we've already spoken about. Yeah, Fulham lost last night to West Ham 3-2, which was a bit of a body blow for us, because obviously West Ham were down there. That sort of gives them a little bit of breathing space. I think that was only Fulham's second defeat since sort of mid-October, so they're in good form as well. But yeah, I think a realistic tally of points, if we get 6 out of a possible 6, I would absolutely snap your hand off. But 4 points out of these next 2 home games would not be the end of the world.
Would you take 2 Premier League wins and a FA Cup defeat?
Yeah, probably would have, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think I would.
Yeah.
All said and done. As good as the win was at the weekend, but it'd be interesting to see how things pan out. But just deal with one stage at a time, really. I think that's got to be the manager's thoughts. Because, I mean, the likes of, say, Jamie Vardy, is Jamie going to be able to perform 3 times in, 8 days? That's a challenge for him. But if he goes on and he becomes the hero tonight and he has a great game, and as is highly likely with Jamie.
7 goals against Palace, by the way. Yeah, 7 goals.
Yeah, and Palace. And how can you not play him at the weekend? But there is that scope, for managing it, etc., and people coming on later in the game, etc. With Daka as backup, especially in regards to Jamie Vardy. But there are options there so that players can give it a full blast as well. Not go into these games trying to manage and nurse themselves through. Give their all.
Don't leave anything back.
No, exactly. For however long it takes, and then there's always options to come on.
Yeah, and we believe that Woyo Koulibaly, the new signing, if you're only just joining us, Leicester have announced Woyo Koulibaly on a 4.5-year deal. He will be here tonight for the game, we believe. So
a few people getting excited that it's Koulibaly from, where is he these days, Napoli or wherever it is, isn't it?
Are you getting excited about that?
No, I'm not, because I know it's someone else.
But we believe will be here and he'll be in attendance. He'll be watching. It'd be great to get a win, and he can think, this is a winning team that I'm coming into here. It's a winning dressing room.
And as a new player going into a new football club, that's what you want. I'm sure a new face around the place will excite the fans. Strengthens that defensive unit that has struggled at times this season. And let's just hope that, I'm trying to think, 7:30, about 9:20, that he'll be celebrating in that home dressing room with the rest of his new teammates. A Leicester win.
I think the players will be encouraged, but the supporters even more so, that there is a sort of an initiative to get players in. Okay, it's not huge money, it's not a huge signing in terms of profile, etc., but it's an additional member. The efforts are being made. Rather than just letting things unfold.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy there, as you can see, taking part in his warm-up here at King Power Stadium. We are exactly half an hour now away from kickoff ahead of this huge game. So let's check in with tonight's co-commentator, Jerry Taggart. He is the man for us this evening. It's not as cold, Jerry, as it looks, I don't think, out there. Good evening to you. Firstly, I'm going to start by asking you about the new signing, Woyo Koulibaly. Ewan says it's another name in the door. It's another player to challenge everybody.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Dan. If I'm being honest, I don't really know that much about him, but as I think I heard Matty say earlier, every club does their homework on whichever player they're playing or they're trying to buy him from, whichever part of the world they're trying to buy them from. So this won't be any different than that. He obviously comes with some kind of reputation, a good reputation. So yeah, really interested to see how he gets on, and rightly so, it's just more numbers in the door, which unfortunately are sadly needed.
Well, Ruud van Nistelrooy himself, Jerry, said that as well as getting the right players in, he wanted to get the right people in, not just in January, but I think presumably that's his mantra for every transfer window. Is that an important thing? How important is it in a football dressing room?
Massively important. I think, I heard you talking about the dressing room, still being you know, pretty tight net, even though, you know, Leicester find themselves second from bottom at the moment. And so you need the right types of character that are going to come in and put a shift in and not let league position bother them in regards to their own ends or their own, you know, future prospects of you know, potentially going up or getting another move abroad. So you need people that are going to come in and get their hands dirty straight from the off. So I think that's what Ruud's all about. And then obviously buying into the dynamic that has already been there in the dressing room for however many years.
Geraldo.
Hello, Matthew.
It's Matthew again. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, quick one. Just reverting over to Crystal Palace opponents tonight, and you know how they set up, etc. And where do you see Leicester getting joy against them, Tags? So big onus on Leicester to get the 3 points tonight, but Palace just have the 2 centre midfielders, but they narrow up, don't they, as a 4?
Yeah.
Pretty tight. Which leaves space out wide.
Yeah, down the sides for me, Matt.
Yeah, you want to see
tonight.
the fullbacks getting more advanced tonight?
And it'll be, I would say in the main, probably James Justin down that right-hand side. On the same side you would have thought as Buonanotte. So there, for me, that's probably the side that pre-match you're looking at could probably do the most damage. Now, obviously you've got Mavididi and Christensen on the other side, but in recent weeks, or in recent games, and definitely in Saturday's game, you know, Buonanotte, along with El Khanous, and obviously James Justin, who bagged himself a brace, lest we forget. You know, you're looking at that side potentially as causing some real problems for Palace tonight.
Sorry, Dan. No, I was going to say, I think you're right to mention that some people might be sort of raising eyebrows there, thinking Khanous. Hang on, he's likely to play sort of central of a midfield 3, stroke upside alongside Jamie Vardy. But at the weekend, he was creating little overloads, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly, and that'll be the same. That won't be any different. He'll be pulling out wide on either flank, and that's where the overload will come. And then it's up to the likes of Samarik. Can Samarik get up and support, or Winks get up and support when he does pull out into those wide areas, Matt? But definitely that is a ploy that Ruud has brought in, and for that exact reason, to create those overloads, to cause confusion, because what El Khanous does is when he pulls out wide, he gives the defensive midfield or even the back line of the opposition a headache. Do they come and mark him and pull themselves out of position, or do they stay where they are and allow him the space and the time to get turned and hopefully create those little passes, those little through balls that stretch the back line and get the likes of Vardy in behind?
Tags, we know the importance of Leicester's front 4 and what they give to the side in an attacking sense. If you look at Palace's front 3, Mateta, obviously he's the presence up front, the old-fashioned number 9, if you like. Then he's got Ismaila Sarr and Ebe Eze just behind him. Whose responsibility do you think it will be to look after Sarr and Eze?
Good question, Ewan. I think initially, you know, it's your fullback. It's both your fullbacks. And then, but I know what you're thinking, they're going to make those inside forward runs.
They'll be quite narrow, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so they're going to be making those inside forward runs. And then it's down to then either one of the centre halves plus one of the fullbacks to narrow up. They have to narrow up, because you can't have 3 players running through the middle on 2. So it's all about communication, Ewan, as you well know, and that has been an issue, especially without Connor Cody in the starting lineup, which again we find him tonight. But for me, you've got 4 defenders on paper. This is, Ewan, on paper, trying to handle 3 attacking. So it's important that the opposite fullback has to narrow up and cover the centre half and become that extra, almost like another central defender if needs be.
Good question though, sorry Dan.
Yes.
It's a good question though, because down at Selhurst Park, that caused Leicester a lot of problems.
Because you got they obviously play with 2 wing backs, don't they?
Yeah,
which
the
gives
wing backs
them
give them the width, not the the forward wide
Yeah.
players, if that makes sense, because the fullbacks were getting drawn into those two aforementioned players, and then the wing backs were getting, and they were switching balls as well. Mitchell on the left hand side, he was getting acres in the first half, and also on the right hand side as well. The wing back there, so you've got to exchange, like Terry says there about communication, to Harry Winks, to Samari, man coming left shoulder, without even looking, just say he's there, you're aware he's there, so you filter back in. So
that becomes the responsibility then of the two centre-halves to do that?
Well, centre-halves can give the info, the full-back can give the info to the midfielder. Sometimes it can be done without even looking. You just say, left shoulder. I used to have a great understanding when Muzzy is it. It was like, half a yard left shoulder. It just dropped, and that would stop that pass going through. But he'd know where they are, and then I can, or James Justin, the full-backs, can drop off back into their space. It's all about timing. If you do it too late, the wing-backs get in, don't they?
I think it's just being aware of danger as well, Dan. You know, we know who their danger men are in an attacking sense. The lads.
Concentration, communication.
It is concentration, communication, being aware, having a picture when you lose possession and you're in that transitional period, right, where's their danger men? And for me, it's quite basic. The nearest man to Eze or Sarr, he gets to him and closes him down.
And last thing, sorry, we're talking tactical things, but just with a defender's head on, you sense the biggest danger. Yeah. That's what you cover for. Now, if you think going in there tight is going to free up space for the wide man, I personally would let him go. There's others who can deal with that. I've got to worry about that because that's going to be the biggest threat. So you read the situation, let Eze drift in there. Okay, if he gets on it, he's 35 yards from goal. He's got to do something special.
So your main concern is...
Well, I don't want to get played behind. Yeah. No, if I'm a fullback, if I'm a centre-half, Mateta's, if Mateta's making runs in there, I'm not getting dragged in there. You just keep the play in front of you, don't you, as best as possible. Make them do something spectacular. Don't make it free and easy for them.
No, I enjoyed that. A little tactical session between the two of you there.
Doesn't happen very often.
Just the basics, Matt, just the basics. Thanks to Jerry. We'll hear from him on co-commentary duty, of course, as we build up closer and closer to kick-off. Just 20 minutes away now here at King Power Stadium. So let's hear from the Foxes manager then, Ruud van Nistelrooy, obviously speaking before the news that we've just given you about Woyo Koulibaly joining from Parma. He was speaking in his pre-match press conference ahead of this game with Crystal Palace.
Of course, that's a recent away form. Well, a game of football is never the same. I look at their squad, I look at their players, I look at the qualities that they have within the team and from back to front, and that is a very good Premier League side, and we have to be aware of that. Very, very good and strong centre backs, very good wing backs, players up front that can change the game in a matter of a second, and so in that sense. It's going to be a tough one for us, but we want to compete, we want to do well and show what we're about in our way, and it's a great challenge for Wednesday.
In the weeks you've had to get to know this squad, what qualities are you seeing in them that maybe give you hope that they can find a way?
Oh, it's not a maybe. I see their characters and quality in players that are there. That is the most important thing, and I also said when I first signed, I believe that it's possible with this squad to stay in. Of course, you need some luck. Of course, losing Mats, Hermansen, and Fatawu were big blows to us, but we have to adjust and find ways. In that sense, we want to continue, and we want to show that over the last 6 weeks that we work together, that we're making the steps in the right direction to make sure that performances are turned into points within our identity that we want to be, and that is what the players are.
You've talked before about applying the right kind of pressure, the right level of pressure to your players, and that is part and parcel of the game. I wonder how key that might be for you again this week with 2 back-to-back home games and the level of game that you've already talked about.
Yeah, the pressure is fantastic. on those games. You have to embrace it. You have to be happy that you are able to show what you've got as an individual and as a team in these moments. Those are key moments. Every game in the league for us is key moments. Every second we're in this league, we have to be ready and happy that we're there and that we're competing and that we can show who we are. Yeah, it's a fantastic challenge, these 2 home games.
Hi, I'm Moyo Koulibaly. I'm very happy to be here.
There was Woyo Koulibaly there, making another
popping up everywhere, isn't he?
Exactly.
He's not shy, is he?
Exactly. That was Leicester City's new signing, just announced in the last half an hour or so. Woyo Koulibaly joining from Parma. I tell you what, let's hear from him one more time.
Do we have to?
Here's Woyo Koulibaly at Seagrave saying hello to all the Leicester City fans. Well, that wasn't Woyo Koulibaly, was it?
Southampton away, was it?
Looked like it. Well, talking about Jordan Ayew against his former club, hopefully we can see him come off the bench.
We can tell you what he said anyway.
We can say he said hello to everyone. Woyo Koulibaly, 25 years old. He's a fullback, predominantly a right back, can also play on the left-hand side as well, has signed from Italian club Parma. Yes, very exciting news in the last half an hour or so. We'll talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy in just a moment. Let's get a recap, though, of tonight's team news, starting with Ruud's starting 11, of course. Just one change made from the team that comfortably, in the end, beat Queen's Park Rangers here in the FA Cup on Saturday. In comes Yannick Vestergaard. Dropping to the bench is Connor Cody. Stolarczyk in goal, Christensen, Vestergaard, Fass and Justin, Winks and Samare in midfield with Mavididi, El Khanous and Facundo Buonanotte in behind Jamie Vardy. From a Crystal Palace point of view, Oliver Glasner has selected this 11 for the game this evening. He's got Henderson in goal, Richards, Guehi, Crew across the back 3, Mitchell and Munoz at the wing backs, Lerma and Hughes in midfield with Eze, Sarr and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Speaking of Woyo Koulibaly, excuse me, saying it will be a challenge, Ruud van Nistelrooy says it's going to be a challenge, isn't it, Ewan, now?
From now until the end of the season, absolutely. Not in a great position, not won enough games. Obvious thing to say, just 2 home wins this season. I think Ruud realises what a massive week this is with the 3 home games that we've spoken about. It starts tonight. Home form has to turn for the club to have any chance of Premier League survival. Are the lads capable of doing that? Absolutely, after what we witnessed here against Man City, even though we never got what we deserved on the day. If they sort of replicate that type of performance tonight and Saturday, there's every chance we can get some good points on the board.
Yeah, it's just come to the stage, I wouldn't say do or die, but it's come to the stage where well, regardless of performance, it's results that matter, as is pretty much always the case, really. But it's time to turn those mostly half-decent performances into something, more substantial, really, more tangible, really. And because Leicester have shown the capabilities to not play particularly well, but grind out results earlier in the season under Steve Cooper. They were out of the relegation zone, weren't they? But most people have the general opinion that the performances have taken overall an upturn, but obviously the results haven't. So sort of blending those two positive aspects of the play could certainly bring you results. But at the moment it seems difficult, where Leicester are, doesn't it? Second from bottom. Every game it seems not unlikely, but it's a real stern challenge, isn't it, to go up against anyone. But then you win a couple of games, then all of a sudden your confidence lifts, and all of a sudden you've got a better impression of yourself, and you consider yourself a more proficient team, and the way you look at forthcoming games changes as well. A bit, but your attitude, doesn't it? Confidence builds, and as you've seen with other teams, Crystal Palace being one of them.
Leicester's 9 of their 14 points this season have come here, Ewan, at King Power Stadium. Clearly, this is where, hopefully, if Leicester are to do what we want them to do this season, it will be because of results like tonight, results at home, getting wins on the board here?
I think it's going to be key from now until the end of the season. Is it 9 home games left, I think, this season? Some winnable home games. But what we can't have, and I'm sure we won't, is the type of performance we witnessed against Wolverhampton. The lads will know that was nowhere near what's needed. What they showed on that day wasn't acceptable. The supporters let them know that. But then you go back to West Ham. Yeah, West Ham had chances. We won't argue that. But Leicester scored 3 goals on the night. We spoke about spirit and togetherness and character. Showed all of those things to come back from a really hard position against Brighton, and then should have got something against Man City a few weeks ago. They go back to West Ham, Brighton, Man City. Even though we lost on the day, if the lads can sort of replicate those types of performances against Palace tonight, then I'm convinced we can go on to win this game.
Yeah, listen, one step at a time, isn't it? Don't start casting an eye, whatever that effect that has on individuals, whether you think, it's going to be a long, tough season with some big teams in the Premier League, or whether you think, you're looking at the latter stages of the season where Leicester have got some,
which
in inverted commas, favourable fixtures. We'll wait and see how that turns out. You've got to start getting results now, and making impact now, pretty much, isn't it? You don't want too much work to do come the end of the season. Leicester have got a difficult-ish run on paper coming up after these couple of fixtures. So's every team at some stage or another. That's just a consequence of being in this league. So get on with it. But I like the way Ruud van Nistelrooy talks. Very calm and collected, but genuine as well. He doesn't talk fancifully. It's something that the players can relate to and something to grab hold of and help them have belief in themselves as well. So looking forward to tonight, but a very big game, you have to say.
Very big game indeed for the Foxes. Big thank you to Matt and to Ewan for their company pre-match. We'll hear from them at half-time and then again at full-time ahead of this huge game with Crystal Palace this evening at King Power Stadium. Without further ado there, let's hand you over to our commentary team after a short little break, and then we've got all the action coming up for you right here on Foxes Hub.